Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared, legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. Tonight, we give you coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the 2024 Season 1. Tonight's race is round number 14. I hope you enjoyed your 2-week break. We are ready to get back to racing coverage. It has been a long time, but tonight it's the Darlington 175 presented by Elite Southern Racing. All drivers prepared for Darlington, a track coined with phrases such as the track too tough to tame, the lady in black. It's going to be a rough one, as you can see, drivers testing their limits, and it's going to be overall a night of can you survive this evening? My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth, it's going to be Zach Hall. Zach, it's crazy to be back. It kind of feels weird after a 2-week break, but we have the final 3 races of the season ahead of us now starting tonight.
Great stretch ahead of us, but tonight, like you said, we got the track too tough to tame. I mean, there's so many sayings that go along with this track. They always say race the racetrack, don't race your competition. But I tell you what, these guys are going to have a lot underneath their plates tonight, because this track, again, always so tough just to figure out. But also when it comes to the Doghouse Racing or Doghouse Cup Series, you gotta fine-tune your setup, because this is an open setup series. So this track, I feel like, probably opens up the door for more fine-tuning than anything, because you got 2 opposite ends. So I just want to see really who took this 2-week break, to really prepare for these final 3 races, and it could show here tonight at Darlington to see who's really hit on something.
Based off the points, we have 3 drivers still in the hunt for a championship. If all 3 of them have a mistake, it could bring in a few more drivers to have a chance for the championship for the 2024 Season 1. But those 3 drivers, Kevin Thompson, your points leader, his teammate of Andrew St. Cyr in second, and the last driver to win here all the way back in the middle of May at Kansas, it's Michael Hayes. Those 3 drivers have been the most consistent. They've been up front. And we'll touch a little bit more on what that point situation looks like. But Zach, those 3 drivers, they are all within 1 good race, 1 bad race. You're still in the hunt for a championship, or you're knocked out.
That they are. I mean, Thompson's surely got, a nice gap. But if he has a bad night tonight, it can easily swing right back into the hands of Andrew St. Cyr, Michael Hayes. And Hayes has definitely got some momentum after a big win, 2 weeks ago at Kansas. We'll see if he can take some of that momentum and transfer it over here to Darlington. We've seen how consistent he's been all season, but we've known Kevin Thompson. He's had some of the best race pace when it comes to anybody. Andrew St. Cyr right along with him, those 2 teammates at Twisted Axle. But now, as we head off into qualifying, Sam, it's going to get to see who's got the true fastest pace here with their setups, and I think we're going to see some quick times.
We certainly are expecting it. Looking at past Pole Sitter Award winners, the last race that they ran here was back in 2023 Season 2. And the driver that got it was a previous champion. It was Jonathan Jennings, which Jonathan Jennings has been running kind of a part-time season. He was here for majority of the first half of the season, won a couple of races for himself, but has not been here a lot recently. And with tonight being a throwback night, a lot of drivers going to be throwing some throwback schemes we're going to be seeing throughout this evening. But watch out for the 91. Could be a fast driver trying to take that pole time, or it could be one of the twisted axle drivers, because the other drivers I've gotten poles were also Andrew St. Cyr, and very quick back in the past of 2023 and 2022 was Justin McMahon. We'll see if the 24 can find a little bit of sneaky speed, but a driver that had a surprising race. I was looking back at Kansas. Cameron King came away with a top 10 finish, one of his best finishes of the season, and hoping to carry that momentum even with the 2-week break we just had.
Definitely looking to carry that momentum, and he's had some sneaky speed on the intermediate tracks. So let's see what he can do here in qualifying. This is going to be that first timed lap around here for that 92. And, you know, the big thing is I think the second lap should be the quicker one. It tends to be with this next gen cars, the heat really, you know, builds up and you get that optimal grip, so to say, on that second lap. But we'll see what the first one does. Is right now it's Jamie Horn holding the top spot, and Horn was fastest in practice too. So not surprised to see the 98 up there, but the 92 looks like with the first lap, third on the board.
Third on the board, other drivers that are looking quick. Chris Leftwich was a driver that has found some sneaky speed and trying to steal the pole recently. Another fast driver up to second was going to be Christopher Simon, but there's Jonathan Jennings. No surprise, dominator of this racetrack. He's won 3 times of the previous 4 times they've ran here. As Gary Clune breaking loose, slamming the wall. It's going to be his second lap thrown away. First lap did count. He was fast enough for 4th for the 45, but the drivers are hoping to find better speed. It's still half the field waiting for qualifying times.
It looks like Jennings not going to pick up on that second lap, but that time good enough to hold on to this top spot. Kevin Powell's going to jump up to third for himself. Great time out of that 93 machine, but now we're going to get to see the 19 of Nicholas Atwood here for his first time lap. Some drivers, you know, like Jennings doing it on their first lap. Jamie Horn, fastest on his second lap. So looks like depending on your setup, you can find speed in different areas of the run, but 29.301 for the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. That's going to put him at the moment 11th on the board.
Nicholas Atwood, one of those drivers that's been trying to find a little bit more speed. Speaking of speed, from the rip, it's going to be Brandon Fetterplace, a driver that joined midway through this season and has just shown extreme speed ever since he joined. First lap was good enough for third on the board with a 28.96. See if there's any pickup for the 20 machine, who honestly every race that we've seen him qualify up front, he's been a threat every race for a chance to win. He has won back at Richmond, but here tonight trying his hand at Darlington. That second lap fast enough to take the pole. Better place on the top for himself.
What a time. I saw that one come through and had to blink for a second, make sure I wasn't seeing a 29.86, but yes, a 28.86 around Darlington. And that's that's a pretty good little gap there, more than half a tenth built up for that 20 machine. So that's great to see for that speed, for his sakes, getting ready to get this race under green here after qualifying. But Richard Leclerc here in the 17, he's going to be putting down a time, and we'll see what his first lap is going to produce for him.
And it looks like Richard Leclerc going to be one of the last drivers to qualify, as his first lap going to be best for 23rd. It's the slowest time of anyone that's qualified so far. Looking for a major pickup. Was a second and a half off of our pole sitter. Some of these drivers here tonight, I mean, this is a track that is very tough, and it's going to be more of your racing the racetrack than the drivers around you. But the 17, trying to get up to that outside wall, use every little bit of this track to maximize your speed. And across the line, 23rd place was his first lap with a 30.4, a 30.2, and it will not advance in position. Going to be falling behind Andrew Cork. 4 drivers not deciding to qualify. Mike Leftwich, Trevor McLaughlin, Tony Martin, and Stephen Bonomo deciding not to put down a qualifying time. As qualifying is coming to a conclusion, drivers will also have a 5-minute warm-up period that they're going to be entering in, giving any little last adjustments needed to make sure they're in the right setup, and also getting any last practice on this course, as well as this will give us a 5-minute period time to kind of do a little bit of a breakdown of how this season has gone so far for the field, as we are going to be starting off with taking a look at our standings for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. 13 rounds have been raced so far. The first round was qualifying, but the way that the points have gone so far, it's going to be Kevin Thompson top of the board with a 107-point buffer over Andrew St. Cyr. And you might think that's a huge buffer, give him the championship already, but this league runs with the old classic NASCAR point system where technically 10 positions, 20 positions away, Kevin Thompson could be down to third in points. So it is not a huge buffer when you look at how the points work. And Zach, I think that's one thing that people have to keep in mind is we're using that old NASCAR point system. So technically, all the drivers from about 8th to 1st are still technically in the hunt if we see a lot of fall off from our top contenders here tonight.
That's exactly right. That's the thing about the old NASCAR point system is you can have big losses and big gains with the extra added points they give out. So it is definitely still wide open, really, from, like you said, about the 7th to 8th position on upwards, really. But really that top 3, the ones we got to focus on, of course, just because of how close in distance they are. You know, a mediocre race from these guys can really close it up for Kevin Thompson. So he's got to watch out for that, Sam. It's going to be fun to see who can try to catch him.
It's going to be great to see as drivers are still putting in some practice lap time for themselves. Jonathan Jennings fastest so far in the warm-ups, but we're going to take a look at our schedule for how this season has gone so far. Super Speedways have been dominated by Adam Gardner, but looking at how this season has gone, there was the first 2 weeks, which was just Daytona. Then we had a week off where we saw the dominance of previous fast drivers, of Kevin Thompson, Jonathan Jennings, having their duel, going back and forth before we had a 2-week break where we came back, saw Jonathan Jennings get his last win of the season so far, and then it's kind of been seeing a lot of surprise winners, you could say, with Brandon Fetter Place got his win at Richmond. Talladega went to Adam Gardner. Last 2 races, got to see St. Cyr, Michael Hayes getting his 2nd win of the season. And it's been incredible to see, but we're now in our final 3 races. This is crunch time. You cannot falter. And Zach, this season's been great, but these last 3 races going to be a blast to watch as we got here tonight at Darlington, North Wilkesboro, and to finish out the season at Charlotte.
Got 3 great tracks ahead of us, man. Like I said, Darlington tonight's going to be awesome. North Wilkesboro, an amazing racetrack also, in my opinion. Then Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the best ones, I feel like, for this next-gen Cup Series car. So this is going to be quite the finale we got ahead of us. And I tell you, like you said, with the winners we've seen, it's really shook it up. And, you know, with Jennings coming back here, that's a possibility of taking points away from people. So plenty of opportunities on the table tonight.
Will Jonathan Jennings return, help him out? Could we see some other drivers that are trying to have some recovery runs of past woes? We'll have to find out, but with a minute and 45 seconds left in this warm-up, we do want to say thank you to our sponsors for the Doghouse Racing League as a whole for tonight and also for this series as a whole. I want to say thank you to Shoney's. Shoney's being the title sponsor of the Doghouse Racing League. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food as well with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations and try out their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Also, want to say thank you for being a proud sponsor with Group 6. Rev up your brand's potential with Group 6. Every turn of the Doghouse Racing season, as your creative marketing powerhouse, we're here to fuel up your success, accelerate your impact, and steer your brand towards victory. Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform. Discover more at group6inc.com. That's group with the number 6, inc.com. Also, finally, want to say thank you to Fanatics. Fanatics has been a huge help on the financials with being an affiliated partner with the Doghouse Racing League. If you want to go find yourself with great sports merchandise or for your favorite team, or you're trying to get ready to gear up to go to your first sporting event, head on over to Fanatics, as the Doghouse Racing League earns commissions from the purchases through the link that's down in the description. Those commissions help out the league in funding drivers, leagues, and sponsors. Thank you so much to Fanatics, Shoney's, and Group 6 for being a major help to the Doghouse Racing League and all the leagues that they cover. But for tonight, Darlington, it's going to be 128 laps in total. No stage break expected here tonight. No fast repair. Only 3 sets of tires in pit road. And as the 4 races that have been ran, only a total of 4 cautions have ever been thrown. The most was last time they ran back in season 2 of 2023. They had 3 cautions. Could tonight be a little bit more cautions, or could we find a flawless race? Time will tell, but the drivers are starting to grid up. That means it's about to be race time here tonight for the Shoney's Doghouse Racing League. Your Group 6 starting grid, taking the pole award. It's Brandon Fetter, placed in the 20 machine. Congratulations on this pole. On his outside is going to be Jonathan Jennings in the 91. In row number 2 in 3rd place, we find the 98 of Jamie Horn and Kevin Powell. Watch out for Kevin Powell. He was an extremely quick driver last time they ran here, and the driver that won the last time we were here going to be starting in 5th. That's Kevin Thompson. Michael Hayes, 3rd in points, going to be starting in 6th. And they're going to be Andrew St. Cour in 7th for himself. In 8th, we find Chris Lethwich. Gary Clune starts in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, we found the 5 machine of Hunter Simpson.
Starting in 11th is the 27 of Christopher Simon. 12th alongside him is going to be the 3 of Michael Scamilla. 13th is going to go to the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. 14th is going to be the 92 of Cameron King. 15th is going to be the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson. 16th is going to go to the 42 of Leroy Kovalets. 17th is the 31 of Eric Mormon. 18th, Bill Gentry. 19th, here's going to be the 14 of Mark Dumont, and rounding out the top 20 is the 51 of Joe McKnight.
And our last few drivers in 21st position, it's the 43 of Eric Anderson. 22nd position is the 41 of Ken Cork. And 23rd is the 17 of Richard Clare. 24th is the 9 of Stephen Bonomo. Trevor McLaughlin's going to be in 25th. Tony Martin, 26th, and starting all the way at the end of the 27 driver line, it's Mike Lethwich. This is our smallest field of the season, and Zach, kind of a shocker of how small this field is. For most of the season, there's been 23 plus drivers out on track. I know this is going to influence the points situation, but I'm curious on how this may influence the race. But if we are about to get ready for racing action, as Brandon Fetter plays, as well as Jonathan Jennings. It's going to be your front 2 as the pace car pulls off into pit road. It's time to get back to racing action. I hope you enjoyed your 2-week break, but it's time for the final 3 races of the season. Into the restart zone, a little bit of a delayed start for Fetter Place, and it's going to be a huge bump on the inside as Jonathan Jennings tries to stay side by side down into turn number 1. Here we go, Zach. It's all Fetter Place as the rest of the field stay 2 by 2 off the exit 2.
Cold tires trying to get them to fire up here is what everybody's doing, is they're trying to find the grip, but someone bounces off the wall there on the back stretches. Everybody fans out. You can see turn 2 there. That is going to be calamity corner when it comes to these cars. Everybody's going to be hitting that thing by the end of the night. And right here already early, someone took a good look.
And that driver is going to be Chris Lethwich in the 8 machine, slamming the outside wall for himself. Not requiring damage, luckily, but that was a hard lick that kind of spaced out the field. And if anything, that might help out the field in the long run to enable them to have the spacing to work with. What a big scare off the exit of turn 2 for lap number 1. But here we go, Zach. This is Darlington. This is the way this race is going to be. A lot of single file racing as the field tries to get themselves prepared for how long this race could become.
It's going to be more of a mental race than anything, Sam. This race is such about hitting your marks, and it's so easy not to. This place is 2 grooves, 3 grooves at its widest, and you really only have 1 groove that has grip. So you got to find a way to navigate around it while also trying to find clean air with the way these next-gen cars produce dirty air from behind these rear diffusers. It's very tough to follow, so you got to find a different way around, but not much place to do it here when it comes to Darlington. So I think it's going to really come down to car setup and also the driver that can really nurture their tires into this run.
As we're seeing the 98 of Jamie Horn, as he's just trying to stay close to that outside wall, carry as much momentum as possible. Behind him is going to be the great battle between Kevin Thompson and Kevin Powell, as Thompson was able to advance in position over the 93 machine. And to see some of these throwback schemes, I mean, Zach, it's always fun when you come to Darlington. It's one of those tracks that's always known as a throwback night, but it looks to be Kevin Thompson backing off, giving Powell the spacing into turn 1.
That is, and that's a throwback for you right there move. You know, when you get side by side back here, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you'd let the guy go. You know, he got side by side with you, let him go. And if you got back side by side with him later, he'd do the same to repay it back to you. It usually doesn't play that way here most now times of days with these next gen cars. But I tell you what, that's what the six felt confident. Hey, I'll let Kevin Powell go right now, but maybe later he'll try to repay that favor to me. But we're riding him north to 12 at St. Core. He's starting to close that gap to the six of his teammate Kevin Thompson, who really seems to really be taking it easy on these tires to start this race.
It's not a bad strategy at all to take care of your equipment, because I always hear the term of race the racetrack, not your competition. As you see, St. Core letting Hunter Simpson drive on by. Hunter Simpson, biggest mover so far in these first 6 laps. He is already up 4 positions from where he qualified and really taking it easy for himself. Other battles that are going on track, you see the one on screen, but there's also a battle for the lead as Brandon Fetterplace and Jonathan Jennings were side by side entering turn 1, but Fetterplace the lap before slicing into the outside wall of turn 2, and it gave the momentum for the 91 to have a chance to fight for the lead. But after that slight side-by-side battle, it's now brought Jamie Horn into the mix here, and almost as well Kevin Powell.
That's exactly right. It's brought a whole group of drivers right up into this battle up here, and Fetterplace has got to be careful. Like you said, he got into that wall for 2, lost the momentum, and that'll leave you vulnerable for a move heading down into 3, but he's done a good job this last few times to stay out of that wall. And Jennings now going to have to navigate around this 30 air. And what I've been noticing is Fetterplace is changing the lineup. He'll run the top or the bottom of 3 and 4, then he'll run the top when he sees Jennings do it. And he's kind of taking the air away, and Jennings already up into the wall there on the entry that last time by. It just shows you, you know, what they almost, you know, coined the phrase here lately. It's called aero blocking, really. You're just trying to place your car in front of the nose of where the other car is and take the grip away from their nose, so to say.
And it just seems like iRacing really been getting better at figuring out how to get the aerodynamics to work to aero block a lot more aggressively with this next gen car. And honestly, almost all the vehicles now, with the new update that just came out this week, even for the massive update for the trucks. And it's been fun to watch drivers as, oh no, a little bit of a clobber into the outside wall for a quick moment there, as drivers were trying to not wiggle too much. And that's going to be this 22 of Michael Hayes that gets into the outside wall for a quick moment there.
That's tough to see. Michael Hayes there already kind of not doing what he needs to do here. He needs to be gaining spots compared to Kevin Thompson, but get into that wall early. As long as you don't get too bad of damage and you don't get the wheel damage, most importantly, that is going to be critical. So if you're Hayes right now, you're just saying, all right, fill it out, make sure everything's all straight, and we'll go from here, because we got a long race ahead of us here. But we're going to hop on board here with the 78 of Dan Wilkerson. And this is back in the 16th position here, Sam. And you can see he's trying to find some air by running a little bit lower, but it's tough when you get to 2 here. You got to really slide up behind that driver. And look at that sun shining in his eyes.
It is blinding. That sun will set before this race is over. We'll see the lights click on, but this is the closest pod of drivers that we're seeing attacking one another, with the 14th place of Michael Skimia, Leroy Koblitz, as well as Daniel Wilkerson and Eric Warman, all on top of one another. And it just looks like Wilkerson, he's running completely different lines than everyone else, and he's seen some positives, and there's the negative. Gets into the outside wall, brush for himself, and it's going to give Eric Warman the chance down into 3 to take this position. And just like that, pass is made, 31 advances.
Great pass there by Warman. And really, when I was watching that practice, I was looking for someone to do a long run and really just get a notice of what the fall off was. Eric Warman was really the only driver to take it past 35, 40 laps. So he's definitely got the knowledge on what this car is going to do later in the run. So we'll see if that 31 can make use of that, as we're watching the 8 of Chris Leftwich, who, like we said, got into the outside wall pretty early. And I'll say he's got some pretty good right side damage on that front fender. So he'll be possibly looking for some type of caution here, hopefully, to get that fixed up, because that can actually really hurt the downforce on your car.
It certainly can, and the pass for the lead in a blink of an eye has been completed. Jonathan Jennings, your new leader, just in 14 laps, brushing the outside wall. 3rd place winner of Jamie Horn, but that Brandon Fetterplace, will he have a chance to fight back? He tries to get to that inside quarter panel to force up the 91, but Jonathan Jennings, he'll have the momentum, he'll have the speed, he'll keep it off the wall in that lead position, and lap lead for the 91 machine.
Great pass by Jennings there, and that's not what a lot of people want to see. That's an ominous sign to give that man some clean air out front with his stats from the past history at this racetrack. But give a huge shout out. Jamie Horn, once again, after his excellent run in Kansas, we talked about how good his long run speed was. That was the one thing he lacked really earlier in the season. It just seemed like it faded as he got farther in the run. I mean, look at him tonight. Once again, 15 laps into a run, right here up front competing for the lead. So Horn has definitely improved on his cars as the season has went on.
Yeah, I mean, this is our first season watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, and we got to see, Jamie Horn's aggressiveness shown early on in the clash when we were covering when they were at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And then all the short tracks we went to, the aggressiveness was there for the 98. Here tonight, and like you said, last race, trying to find a little bit more of that long run pace for himself. The driver I'm circling up to watch out for, that's going to be Kevin Powell, 93 machine. He's also been a quick driver on the long run. I think he might be just settling in and waiting to see what our leaders are going to do here as this run progresses forward. As we're 17 laps in, we're just about a handful of laps away from really seeing that switch up of drivers that protected their tires and those that didn't.
And I could completely agree with you there, Sam, with the assessment of Kevin Powell, because we've heard him earlier in the season. His kind of MO and his motto is kind of letting it come to him. But as we say that, what is going on here?
He's going to spin around, and the commentator's curse hits the 93. A bizarre moment, but because he's so far down low on the apron, we will not have a yellow thrown for Kevin Powell. But in a blink of an eye, things go awry for the 93, and from battling in 5th place, he falls all the way down to 20th. Bizarre moment, but off of turn number 4, it's just like his wheel just broke, something snapped, and he locks it down, and luckily no yellow.
That it is some type of malfunction. The other thing I can think, maybe some type of screen malfunction that where he could not see, so he kind of takes it left, because it seems like everything's all good now with the wheel. We're just watching him, and these things happen so quickly. I mean, look, he's running straight here, he turns left, and you see he turns back right and back left here, and just, I mean, literally, that is definitely someone who is having something go on. That is not a normal circumstance, and yeah, unfortunate that we get to see and again, you get to see her now live. He's completely fine. So technical difficulties there, Sam, showing they can rear their ugly head here when it comes to this iRacing.
That they certainly can, and saw there also, again, breaking loose was the 2 of Tony Martin, who got a little bit out of sorts, but a bizarre moment, and those technical issues do pop up. I mean, I feel like every race there's at least 1, maybe 2 drivers that have either their sim rig locks up, iRacing crashes, their computer freezes, just something disconnects, and it makes you be out of control. And right there, gotta give kudos to Kevin Powell. Whatever issue there was, at least he didn't destroy the car. That's the biggest plus you can take away from it, because Zach, we've seen plenty of times where a malfunction happens and you're not able to save the vehicle.
You're exactly right, and sometimes more often than not, when it happens, you take somebody usually with you. So luckily for his sake, he hurts nobody. It looks like that might be the 22, I believe, of Hayes, or no, sorry, the 27 of Christopher Simon. A little bit loose off of 4 that running in the 8th position. But yeah, I mean, such a tough break for the 93, but fast car, still only about 15 seconds behind the lead. He's luckily not gone a lap down from that, but if he gets some type of yellow, that could definitely help him get back in position. Look at this, Hunter Simpson up the 3rd. He's been turning some fast lap times.
I think this is the Hunter Simpson we've been waiting for all season long. There were rumbles and rumors of this 5 machine. He was going to be one of the fastest drivers to watch out for. He got 2nd in the overall point standings last season and the last few seasons. He's been the top driver to watch out for as Brandon Fetterplace smashes that wall at the exit of 2 once again. But fastest driver on track, it is the 5 of Hunter Simpson. He is catching our leaders. The question is, when will these passes be made, and will it be before pit stops is going to be even the bigger question. But Brandon Fetterplace, I think he's in a similar spot as Chris Leftwich, Zach, where he's got to be careful. Any more contact, and that front right wheel could require him to be forced to pit road.
You're exactly right. It fatigues over time, and it's a build-up system. So the more you hit the right side of that car against the wall, the more it's going to fatigue, and at some point it's going to give up, and you're going to get wheel damage, and that is one thing you don't want to do. I mean, you can get wheel damage in these cars, kind of bend it and still keep going, but if you get that meatball flag, that totaling repair is around 9 minutes required. So it is a lengthy process, and you're going to lose a ton of laps.
And with all the malfunctions and issues we've seen throughout the field, the damage of hitting the wall, It's been
Ooh,
Hunter
Horn.
Simpson on the go as Horn having his own issues.
Big into the wall there off of 2 for him as he got up into it there trying to get the most out of his. He's seeing the likes of Kevin Thompson, St. Core, like you said, coming into the picture more. And that's one thing that can happen here is you see now Simpson going to make the pass at better place. I think most certainly just going to let him go there because he's seen how fast his 5 has been coming up through the field. But we'll see if Simpson has that same pace as he gets up to his teammate. But a lot of people coming into the picture now that have kind of saved their stuff showing up now.
No surprise, twisted axle. You got Kevin Thompson, Andrew Sankor trying to make their way forward, and Michael Hayes making the smart decision of trying to stay with those drivers. But we look back behind them, and that's where we see these groups of drivers, Cameron King and others having their own blips and issues coming up as Eric Warman will take another position because a driver having an issue of getting into the outside wall. And, you know, for some drivers, Darlington can be like a road course in a way of you minimize the mistakes of getting into the wall, turning around with a big loose slide, and oh no, contact. Also going to get into Warman, and both drivers going to have major issues as Cameron King gets himself hard in the wall, almost into another driver. And that was a horrendous timing to get into that outside wall that hard.
That it was. I mean, he knocked that thing down. I mean, no required damage flag, but I think he's definitely got wheel damage, so to say. As we're going to go back here to replay to see how that worked. Is 92 tight there off the exit, and then Warman, big hit for him, and he was running so good. So that's tough to see for him as that let Michael Skimia get back by him. But look, he came down the cross.
Bill Gentry.
Bill Gentry down there, and man, Bill did a great job to save that car even.
Big save for the 4, but he's going to lose 2 positions because of that scare. And another driver into pit road was just going to bring up Richard Leclerc 10 laps ago, came into pit road because of similar contact and getting into the wall. Now Cameron King's going to do so, and it looks like Eric Warman might have had an issue off of turn 4.
Yeah, he did. I think that damage on the right side there only compounded itself, and now he looks like he's involved in something more. So I'm gonna have to go back here to see what it looks like. It just got loose off of 4. So yeah, just you can see the nose is destroyed though. It is just hanging on by a thread.
It is barely there for Eric Warman as we're taking a look at this contact again. We are re-looking at the Cameron King contact into the wall and how it influenced the 31 of Eric Warman just blasting. And really, the contact to that right front, it broke the front bumper, but ultimately it's that front right tire that took the brunt of that hit.
It really was, Sam. It took that huge hit, and you can see he's just hanging on for this point. And Warman definitely, I think, as we'll see, he's actually bringing it into pit road right now, Sam. So not surprised by that. And while this is happening, Hunter Simpson has run down Jonathan James.
We may be seeing a new leader here quickly in Hunter Simpson on a prowl. He's been waiting to have a chance to show this true speed. This driver has been running part-time this season, had some computer issues that didn't enable him to run at certain tracks this season. Got those computer issues figured out, and now is on the back bumper of Jonathan Jennings. This was kind of the rivalry the last few seasons, was watching these two and Daniel Wilkerson to see who was going to find themselves in a victory lane at times. And now Hunter Simpson, who qualified 10, is right on the back bumper of Jonathan Jennings. But those tires, I think they might have hit their limits, Zach, as they're closing on lap traffic. This 5, I mean, there's only so much give you can put in these tires. Just muscle your way through this field.
You're exactly right. I've seen him really using that car up. He's been getting closer to the wall than most, and I think that only lasts so long. And I tell you, for running the 5 on his car, that's pretty representative because the way he's driving around Darlington is pretty reminiscent to Kyle Larson. I mean, he's using every inch of the racetrack. He run the bottom one time, but even when he comes off the bottom, he's exited right against the wall. So he's using every little bit of racetrack, but I think the closer he's gotten, he's found out that dirty air is starting to play a huge factor.
As our leaders are slowly starting to close in on Trevor McLaughlin, Andy Cork, and Mark Dumont. Our first couple of lap cars our leaders might be dealing with. Fall back to 5th place because Michael Hayes has made a pass on Andrew Sankor and now trying to set up to make the basket by Kevin Thompson. And every point's going to matter for this 22 machine, especially on the fact that the 3 drivers hunting for the championship this season are all on top of one another inside of our top 10. Every spot could be a chance, and Michael Hayes is going to need as well for interesting core. They're going to need some big points. They're going to have to be at least 5 positions different to the likes of Kevin Thompson and be ahead of them. But right now, they're so close. There's no real advantage of just being 1 position ahead.
This is a straight mental game at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge gain if Michael Hayes just passes Kevin Thompson here, but it's more of a mental boost. You're passing your main competition and kind of striking fear into him and saying, hey, you're going to come with your A game each and every week, which Kevin Thompson knows that. But when you see the 22 in the back bumper like this, I think 22 might have caught the wall there a little bit, but these two know it could be coming down to them when it comes to the championship, and not too far behind them. They can't forget about the 12 minute.
Absolutely not. As been keeping my eye on our leader. Trevor McLaughlin gets out of the way for Jonathan Jennings, and Jennings able to get by lap traffic, but Hunter Simpson was not. Simpson gets blocked, trapped, and stuck behind Court. McLaughlin gets into the wall in front of the 5, and from being about a half a second off the leader, now a full second behind. It might be even more with the lap cars not able to get out of the way for the 5 machine.
It's a tough break. He's going to see McLaughlin here really loose off the exit, and he's going to figure out a way to get around him. It looks like Trevor's going to move to the left. Luckily, Simpson doesn't make that move also, and we'll see him sell on by about 1.2 seconds now back behind Jonathan Jennings. So huge loss of time there for him, but we'll see if he can regain here some time, and maybe this will give him a little bit of fresher air to refire the tires back.
Lap cars are just going to be growing. There's going to be another pod of drivers that our leader's going to have to deal with after by Mark Dumont. That's Mike Leftwich, Tony Martin, as well as Stephen Bonomo having their own duel between each other. But seeing the field trying to make their way forward, this is the battle currently for 19th position. Just about five seconds ahead of our leader, but Stephen Bonomo, big contact slide, gets out of the way for the 60 machine. And I think that's going to be helping out Jonathan Jennings. A little bit more spacing between each lap car makes it a little bit easier to make each pass.
You're exactly right. When there's 3, 4 of them stacked up on top of each other, it makes everything that much harder. And I think, look, he's just going to pull left here, let Jennings go by, also Mark Dumont, and now even Hunter Simpson. And Bonomo, very respectable move from him to do that, but you're losing so much time doing this.
You're losing a lot of time, and some drivers having issues in the middle of the field. Gary Clune, hard contact in the outside wall about a lap and a half ago for the 45, losing 3 positions because of that contact. And honestly, I think some of these drivers might be showing signs that their tires are fading away to a point that pit stops could be looming if they want to turn this race into a 2-stop. But I'm presuming, Zach, a lot of drivers might be trying to push their tires out to try to go for the 1-stop here this evening.
I think that is definitely going to be the play for sure, Sam. I think you got to try to stretch it at least to around 64, 63. You got to go ahead and try to get to that point, especially if you're already 40 in at this point. You got to stretch it at least another 20 more, because there's definitely, I would say, enough in the tank, even with the 70% fuel load, to do that. But it could be cutting it close again at a 70% fuel load the more I think about it. So it's going to really depend on if they can make it, but I think that's the strategy you're going to want to employ for sure.
Theo Bonomo going to be the first driver to enter pit road. His tires were fading away, so deciding to go into pit road, get service done. First driver to call it a night was Cameron King after he had pulled it into pit road. Eric Warman got repairs done, has been back out on track for the last 2 laps. Also, Richard Leclerc still in pit road getting service done, and they're seeing almost every other car fading in. But here's a big drop off into pit road. It's Daniel Wilkerson, Bill Gentry. They're going to be making their pit stop into pit road, as well as Andrew St. Cour entering pit road. Zach, this pit stop going to be a tough one. It's one of the tougher pit stops of any of the racetracks out that you run here on iRacing.
Oh, no doubt. This pit road is one of the most narrow entries and one of the most awkward spots to really have in pit road. It feels like it's so far down the track just due to how much apron we have here at Darlington, so to say, and it makes things tough to see Jonathan Jennings, our leader, just casually brushing the wall here. It's Darlington, no big deal, but we'll see if he elects to come down here at some point. But it's really one of the toughest pit roads to get on, and you can easily make a mistake. A lot of times people will miss it and then have to come back around, and that is a huge loss of time that you definitely don't want to do.
More drivers entering pit road of Gary Clune and Nicholas Atwood making their stop, still waiting for Jennings, Hunter, Fetter Place to make their decision to enter pit road with Kevin Thompson and Michael Hayes finishing out your top 5 yet to pit so far. We still have about half the field needing to make that decision of pit stops, and others already making their stops, getting out on course. This is that weird phase as Jonathan Jennings brushes the wall again. That's another time. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time he's brushed the wall in the center of the corner. But this is that weird transition of a pit stop strategy. You've got new tires versus old, where we could see that mistiming of running into a driver if you're not careful. But Zach, touching on Jonathan Jennings, I think this might be a sign he's entering pit road with all these brushes to the walls he's at.
It very well could be, because I mean, man, he has had a few touches, and again, we talked about how the sides can fatigue to these cars. You know, it's only the first run of the race. You don't want to use up too many of the mulligans, so to say. I mean, looking at the right side of his car, it's definitely scuffed up a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's too bad. So he's built a sizable gap. He maybe could back it down just a little bit more, but hey, Jennings loves to put in fast times and build that gap as much as he can, so I can't knock him for it.
Jamie Horn, Chris Leftwich going to be the next group to enter pit road. Top 12 still needing to make their stop here tonight, being 12th place. So Trevor McLaughlin, Mark Dumont, Tony Martin, you're up to 10th position as see another driver aiming to go into pit road. And these stops going to be critical for the drivers that are taking the undercut. And oh no, trouble, caution, driver spun out, and it's Tony Martin in the 2, bringing out the caution in the middle of this pit cycle.
Oh man, that's gonna hurt a lot of drivers, because right now we only have 8 on the lead lap after all the cycles going through, and St. Clair is going to be one of the biggest losers as that 2 of Tony Martin goes around.
Looked like for the 2 machine, you're gonna see on this replay, it was the exit of turn 4. He was being passed by drivers that were on the lead lap, then going to be pressured by Wilkerson, who had just made his stop. Fresh tires, but the 2 of Martin goes high, snaps loose right in front of the 28. And after hitting the wall, drifts back up on course, and with that stop right there, I'll bring out the yellow.
Such a tough break there for Tony Martin, who just a little bit loose, shows you how easy it is with everybody stacked up on top of each other to have that issue, so to say, as we'll get another view of it as you see the sun still fighting these guys as you head into 3 and 4 here. Is Martin gonna come off of 4, and then you're gonna see right here just step loose, and that's the 78 Wilkerson. Just he's there. There's nowhere Wilkerson can go. That's gonna turn the 2 around.
Such a helpless feeling when you just feel like you're okay, you're tightening up, and then it just snaps loose off the exit of the corner. But that will bring out our yellow. This was right in the middle of a pit cycle, so majority of the field is going to be entering pit road to get service done. And this might be the perfect time for us to take our first commercial break of the night. I want to say thank you so much to everyone that's been joining with us here this evening, watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, the 2024 Season 1, race number 14, already underway for the Darlington 175, presented by the Elite Southern Racing. We'll be back right after this for more Darlington action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, joining me up with Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Tonight's race is the Darlington 175 presented by Elite Southern Racing. Tonight's race was looking to be a good barn burn to watch out for. Brandon Fetterplay, Skinner grabbing the pole, led the first 10 laps of the race, but then had some trouble off the exit of the corner, gifting the lead to Jonathan Jennings. Hunter Simpson looks quick, qualified 10th, and he's got some great race speed, but he better hope that he can stay on track. Major blinking issues for the 5 there for a quick moment. But Jonathan Jennings, he looks to be the dominator, but with a late caution in the middle of the pit cycle, changed things up. And it's time to see what great action we will see moving forward as Jennings takes the green down into turn number 1. Great launch for himself as Simpson tries to clear Kevin Thompson on the outside.
Great jump there from Jennings, of course, and Simpson now restarting second. I think this caution was huge for him. He qualified 10th, now going to get the restart right behind his teammate, Jonathan Jennings. We'll see what he has for him as he's almost already took a look there on the entry of 3, decides to back it up here and try for another shot.
And for Hunter Simpson, he hasn't had a chance to have that clean air to work with, and we'll see if that gives any more breathing room. But also, a few drivers having to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap. One of those being Andrew St. Clair in 10th place. From 10th on back, all drivers that had to take a wave around because when they came into pit road and caution flag got trapped them a lap down. That was a tough spot for a lot of those drivers because they're looking to make one more pit stop before the night is done. But this 12's got a lot of work and a lot of traffic to deal with.
That he does. This is going to be a tall task for Andrew St. Clair, but we've seen how good he's been this season. This is going to be a true test for him to see what type of championship material he is, and we'll see how he can navigate in a tough Darlington like this. He's got his teammate Atwood right ahead of him, but Leftwich was side by side there with the 3 of Michael Schemia, and they're almost wrecking. There's the 2 of Tony Martin down the racetrack.
Tony Martin had a big clobber into the outside wall. That's where you saw that puff of smoke, and it kind of spooked a couple of drivers to back off quickly. And now going to be seeing the 60 machine of Mike Leftwich. He'll stay high, and oh no, Mike breaks loose right in front of St. Clair. And what a move, a save by the 60, and a sliding, trusting move by that 12 machine.
Wow, what a move. And yeah, like you said, some trust there between those drivers. Is now Leftwich all over Leftwich. So this has been a family battle right here. Is now Chris going to try to take the position on his father here as he dives down to the bottom of the corner. It looks like he'll take that position.
Takes the position away off the exit of the corner. You can still see that damage on the 8 machine. Chris Leftwich grabbed on just lap number 1, and he's been dealing with it ever since. Now, as that was the pass for 18th position, they continue try to put pressure forward. Speaking of pressure forward, pressure for the lead might be on as Hunter Simpson is closing in ever so slightly as he's right on that back bumper of Jonathan Jennings. And it just seems like through 1 and 2, it's the strength of the 5, but the exit of 4 is where we've seen the 5 kind of lose that spacing. There's a little bit of trouble deeper in the pack. Driver slices down off the exit of turn 4.
Definitely looking good for Simpson this time. Don't like to see that though, because he's had those clear issues with the computer this season, so we don't want to see him blink out or have any issues like that. So right here, following in the tracks of Jennings, and being this close to him, it can be a benefit, but also could be a detriment too, because he can get kind of baited into driving a little bit in the air of that driver ahead of you and hurting your tire. So we'll see if Simpson can do a good job this run and just find that timing to get around that 91. Is now third place from this 3rd position. We get to see his view. I like where he's at because right now he can let those 2 kind of run off into the distance, maybe try to run them down later.
Go run them down later, and the further they pull away, the more fresh air you get on your front bumper, and you protect your tires a little bit better. And after getting into the wall a couple of times, learn kind of the limits that this 20 machine handle, as well as other drivers that are still trying to learn their limits. Kevin Thompson, Michael Hayes in 4th and 5th position. They've been just settling at this time, and even talking about the fact that this is an open setup league. Zach, we've seen teams, Twisted Axle as a team all season long have really been we're willing to give up the short run to have that long run pace. Tonight, it's kind of been an odd sequence of not really seeing that dominance here late in the season of them just taking off at the end of races like we saw in those first handful of races where Kevin Thompson dominated with Jonathan Jennings. But Michael Hayes, on the other hand, it's been kind of his over-aggression the last 5 races that's enabled the 22 to grab 2 wins so far this season.
It has been kind of interesting this race here. It's kind of been backwards with everything. You know, we've seen a lot of speed from the twisted axle group, like you said, on longer runs. And tonight, I mean, it was good long run speed. Don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't what we've seen from them previously. I mean, Darlington is such an oddball track. They could have a very good baseline that, hey, we take to a lot of tracks, and it's just a good platform that works. And sometimes Darlington just being so weird, it might not fall into that category. So we'll see if they can get it figured out for Thompson. But I think he's really doing everything he needs to do. He's beating the guys that he needs to beat. He doesn't really need to worry about the top 3 up front. As long as he stays ahead of Hayes and St. Cour, his job is getting done.
It certainly is. See Gary Clune, who's had his own woes so far here tonight. So he's trying to figure out how to get by Mark Vaughn, who, again, part of the grouping of drivers that made their pit stop and had to take the wave around. And to see Gary Clune, older tires, 5-lap difference. And yes, a majority of those 5 laps were under pacing on where that difference came from, but any little bit of difference can be very massive at a track that's so much about tire wear. As saw Nicholas Atwood have a little bit of a slide. Now seeing Andrew St. Cour making the pass on Michael Skimia, moving up into 8th place. Great charge by the 12, who's on some of the oldest tires of anyone on track, and still making these passes look easy.
That's exactly like you said. I mean, 21 laps to really everybody ahead of them, 14 laps on their tires. So big difference for that 12, and he's making it, like you said, look pretty easy. So he may hope for some type of yellow flag to, get some track position back here, get that yellow flag just to help him get back in the cycle with everybody. But we'll see how much he can march through. But at the moment, right now, Jennings still in front of Simpson. Fetter place still 3rd, Thompson 4th, and Hayes rounding out that top 5.
And talking about strategy goals, Zach, feeling like we still have a pit stop looming for the field. This here's your top 5 currently with John Jennings, Hunter Simpson, Brandon Fetter place, Kevin Thompson, and Michael Hayes. But our top, looking at how these drivers are going to have to run this race, for those that took the wave around, and as well, those that just pitted under our last caution, looks like we still have one more pit stop to go, so everyone still in a similar position, even if we don't get another caution.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think everybody in the same ballpark of what they have to do when it comes to strategy. So that does open up the opportunities for someone like a St. Cour. Now look at this, Hayes looking to the inside here as he's going to try to make the move for the 4th position. This is huge for Michael Hayes, but a little loose through the center. Is not able to get the drive off. They make contact here coming off of 2 as they're doing a great job to stay off of each other down the back straightaway. Hayes is going to be looking now to clear the 6, and this will be the spot to do a slide job maneuver and give it over to the 22.
A very scary moment between 2 championship drivers that, that small little contact. I feel like in other scenarios, 10 out of 10 times you usually would see someone go into the inside wall or get pushed to the outside wall, but somehow they keep it together even with the slight contact, and Michael Hayes will take the advantage. And with that little bit of side-by-side action, it's now enabled Christopher Simon to get into the mix to catch up to the 6th win. Might see if that Kodiak machine can get any closer to try to set up for a pass, but we're seeing kind of a yo-yo action. One lap you're strong enough to close up to the driver in front of you. The next lap you just make one simple mistake and all that momentum get the reset for another 3-more lap.
It is crazy how fast they can slip away from you, but let's give this 27 a shout out because, man, he's been running excellent this season. Maybe hasn't had some of the finishes to go with it, but running that 6th position, Christopher Simon has definitely been an impressive driver to watch. And at some point, his day will come with a very, very special finish at some point.
It certainly, we're expecting it. He's had some good runs, but it's been the kind of clutch factor at the end of the day that just falls apart at times. But Simon's getting a great battle for the pass, potentially for 3rd place. Brandon Fetter place, Michael Hayes right on top of one another. And it looks like for Michael Hayes trying to figure out where is the best opportunity to try to make this pass on the 20 machine. third place might be this upcoming turn into turn 1 entry that the 22 is looking for. He's already showing signs he wants to go to the inside to the quarter panel, and he'll ship it into turn 1. Almost putting the pressure on Fetter Place, but Fetter Place holds strong, keeps his foot in the throttle, and he'll keep third place for now.
Ooh, big moment there. He could have lost enough momentum in that 22 to get the position back to the 6, but luckily gathers it up enough. But Fetter Play's doing a good job to defend that move. But look at the speed that 22 has through the center of 3 and 4 there. He is looking to go forward, Sam. He wants to put as many points in between him and Kevin Thompson. And another thing that he can look for is, if I am the likes of Michael Hayes here, we know we have to pit again. You might want to just stretch it a little bit farther, maybe try to lead that lap, because you can get some good bonus points from lead laps here.
Lead a lap, you get 5 bonus points. Lead the most laps, 5 bonus points. And John the Giant's going to set up to take at least the most laps left, so that extra bonus points are going to be moved away. But those are the only 2 ways to get bonus points: leading the lap, leading the most, and then winning the race is it. And for these drivers, they know how crucial getting a win can be. Because if you win a race and you just need 1 lap because you have to do so, that's advancing at least 10 points over your competition if the guy you're trying to beat is just behind you. And every position being a 5-point difference, it is so crucial every spot you grab, and that's why Michael Hayes needs to take every spot possible to get closer and make the manageable difference for a championship between this 22 and 6 machine a little bit closer, as Hayes gets by Fetter Place and now tries to set sail with a little bit of clean air to work with to try to catch up for front 2.
Huge job by Hayes there to get that done on Fetter Place, now up the 3rd. And I wonder if the likes of Kevin Thompson, does his sense of urgency turn up a little bit more. As you can see back here, St. Cyr, he's in the midst of a battle. As you got Jamie Horn also trying to come through. He's got a little bit fresher tires as he's gotten past McKnight, and also the likes of, it looks like the looks like a lap down car he's gotten past there. But Horn with a little bit fresher tires than even St. Cyr, I could see him possibly being a threat to this 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to watch how these drivers have changed out between themselves as trying to make these passes if possible. As seeing Joe McKnight trying to do his best to stay in front of the lap machine of Chris Leftwich. Again, a lot of drivers stuck 1 lap down because of the timing of having the yellow flag thrown, as Chris Leftwich will take the advantage over the slight mistake of Joe McKnight breaking loose. That little bit of a scare, a lot of these drivers give a lot of give and take, which has been kind of the talking point. I know the admins had a lot of conversations about before this break. The first 13 weeks of this season, there's been a lot of cautions coming up. Over half of the races have had to finish under overtime attempts. And Zach, here tonight, we're seeing a lot of give, and not a lot of people trying to make over-aggressive moves. It's kind of, hey, I'm there, and the other driver's saying, all right, take that position away.
Oh man, big move there from Leftwich. I mean, going right to the bottom of the apron to get it done on the lap car there. But yeah, it's a track. Oh, as others are getting into the wall farther back there, I believe. That was the likes of Trevor McLaughlin there in the 18.
McLaughlin and Atwood that both did almost simultaneously, bouncing off the wall, and both able to keep it together for themselves. But oh no, Atwood has another scare off of turn 4 as he'll be passed by the drivers on screen. And 19 machine, I don't think that small little tap was a small one. He is getting a lot of handling issues ever since he tapped the wall the lap before.
He could have some wheel damage, maybe possibly knocking out the toe a little bit, and that can have major effects to how the balance of the car is through the corners and even on the straightaway. So Atwood trying to regather that thing back up. Looks like he's found a little bit of a solid footing, but you never know with what follows you here at Darlington. It is always just one misstep away from a problem.
As we continue to see the field trying to settle in for this run, Atwood trying to catch up to Eric Anderson. Eric Anderson in the 43 machine struggling a little bit, but running those petty colors. Of course, it only makes sense to run the STP scheme here at Darlington for a throwback night. But Eric Anderson, the last, I would say, 5 races have been incredible to watch the growth of this 43, on the fact that he's been grabbing top 5 finishes, he's been running well in the top 10. Here tonight just looks to be a tough track that's just has gotten away from this 43, but Anderson right now trying to defend for 15th place.
Trying his best right now, definitely to hold on to that. This is the track. If you want to defend somebody, it's definitely the place to do it. But with that wood blinking out like that, it can make it tough to defend when you can't see your competition either. But it's like Atwood's connection somewhat comes back. But yeah, this is definitely a track where defense can come right into that playing field. But it's always fun to see how drivers do it. But as this battle is very good looking, we also got a nice little battle forming up front. Hunter Simpson again putting the pressure on. Jennings was into the wall in 3 and 4. Let's see if Simpson can put enough pressure here to finally get past this 91.
This is exactly where we've seen the time before. He's been this close. He's been up to a 10th, almost to the bumper of Jonathan Jennings, but then makes a mistake. It kind of isn't able to get back to the throttle as strongly as Jennings. The aero block just holds back the 5 too much. And the momentum is just kept to the driver that's leading this race. It's just a little bit too far back. Maybe 400 Simpson as we're in that zone where we saw Simpson being the fastest driver during our long green flag run before we had our first caution. And now I'm curious if we're starting to see the sense of Jonathan Jennings' tires, because they were starting to fade away. He was getting in the wall a little bit more, and once again, you see him get in the wall. Andy Cork stays low, forcing the 5 to run higher than what he would like through this corner and off the exit. Jennings, he salvages again for another attack.
That he does. He opened up that gap pretty nicely there with that 5 having to go around the outside. The 5 has been doing a good job to run. The bottom is all he gets into the wall in the middle. 1 and 2 show everything he gained all slips away from him in just one lap. It just shows you at Darlington how precious every bit of time that you give up is to you.
And now seeing Jonathan Jennings over a half second of gap working for himself. Looking at other drivers on each lap, the last laps that have been ran so far, and Jonathan Jennings almost was able to put down a 29-second lap time, but the fastest driver on track is the 91 leading this race. Other drivers that are trying to make a recovery run, you see the likes of Jamie Horn, who made the pit stop with Andrew St. Court into pit road before that yellow flag. It happened in the middle of their pit cycle, and curious for the both of them. They're on older tires. They're both probably also have, they're going to be the first to hit pit road just because of the fuel sequence of when they came in pit road. Curious on when they're going to make this stop, because we're basically where we were when Andrew St. Court made his green flag stop the first time around. Will he make the same decision again?
Very well possibly could happen, because we're nearing here soon. It'll be this time by 42 to go. So when they get to 40 to go, I could very well see pit road get very busy, especially for the likes of St. Court and Horn, who have some of the oldest tires out here having to take that wave around. So I think you could see the likes of them pull that off. But right now we're seeing Feder Place. He went very silently at the beginning of the run as he gets into the wall there now, trying to get the run on Hayes. He was kind of, taking it easy. Now starting to show he's got a little bit more grip possibly in this 22.
And Zach, I think you could kind of bring it up a little bit more of the contact zones that we're seeing these drivers hit compared to if you hit the center of the corner and hitting the wall there, compared to hitting the wall off the X of the corner, and how different they are to how that's reacting to this vehicle.
Oh, so big. I mean, when you hit it in the center of the corner, you always are, fighting the car to the left. It's center of the corner is usually your slowest, speed of the corner, so it always helps there. The angle's better. You see how that wall sticks out there too. That thing is just at an angle that if you do get into it, it's going to hurt the car very, very bad. So you got to make sure to stay out of those walls. And definitely, if you're going to hit them, either hit them in the center of the corner, because the exits will be the part that really hurts you. Is up ahead, actually, Feder Place does get the pass nuns. We've seen that here from Kevin Thompson's front bumper.
A huge slide for Michael Hayes in the center of 3 and 4, and luckily Feder Place gave enough space for the 22 to collect himself, and then was able to make the pass off the exit of the corner. And as that pass is made, pit stops underway. Chris Leftwich, Gary Clune into pit road for themselves. Those are drivers that are already one lap down. The first driver that's on the lead lap, watch out for Andrew St. Court. He's expected to make his pit stop here shortly, and he does enter pit road now.
That he does. St. Court coming down, and the Leftwich is here on pit road, so definitely getting busy. And I'm not surprised right here under 40 to go. These guys are all feeling like this will be the perfect opportunity to come down. I think you can even see a few of these leaders starting to flinch here soon because, it's less than 40 to go. They've got about 40 laps on their tires. So this is right around that halfway point of the run.
And also gonna have to remember, we had 11 drivers on the lead lap. Majority of them deciding not to go into pit road at the stage break. So there are drivers that are in that weird zone where some of them may have to stay out as long as possible just to hope that a caution comes out to put them back onto the lead lap. There are some question marks on how you want to run the rest of this race, but for Michael Hayes, his goal is just to stay as close as possible to Brandon Fetterplace before they enter pit road to make sure that battle continues forward to try to gain as many points as possible over Kevin Thompson. And then for Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, I think it's between those two drivers on who pits last, on who's going to have that tire advantage to possibly win this race here tonight.
You're exactly right. It's going to be kind of a cat and mouse game between those two up front because if you're Jennings, you don't want to give up the track position in the clean air to Hunter Simpson. But if you pit too early and let Hunter Simpson just stay out longer, it could come back to bite you even more. So it's one of those situations where the leader is actually in a little bit of a tougher spot here to make this decision. But with the gap he's starting to build up right now, this is great for his likes of the pit stops coming.
Jonathan Jennings trying to get by Daniel Wilkerson and Trevor McLaughlin, and both drivers trying to make their own passes as it's going to look like Wilkerson into pit road for the 78 machine. And for Trevor McLaughlin, another driver that joined in the middle of the season, you can tell this is not his favorite track to be running, but it's been kind of cool to see these drivers that are new that joined in the middle of the season and how some of them have the quick speed immediately and others have their certain tracks that they're going to be quick at. As Jonathan Jennings is close to that outside wall with the better tires, is Chris Leftwich to pass to go for the move for the pass.
That just shows you the difference in the speed of new tires versus old tires. It is an immense amount of fall off we see here, almost over a second and a half. What we've seen from our leaders, Jennings running a 29.094, right now running a 30.57. So plenty of fall off here tonight at Darlington, and these drivers are feeling it right now and thinking about pit stops here soon.
As we see Brandon Fetterplace, Gary Kloon, as Fetterplace is dealing with those drivers with pressure rubber, trying to figure out how to get by the lead lap drivers without really truly influencing or hurting anyone else's speed. But it's kind of hard to do so as Fetterplace gets into that outside wall, and that scrub mark lost some momentum. Gonna help Michael Hayes to just cut into that gap a little bit more on the straightaway, but still over 3/10 into turn number one. Jonathan Jennings yet to make any signs of going into pit road. I think, Zach, that everyone's feeling a similar situation of, if we make our pit stop now and a caution flag happens, we're trapped. We may not get our lap back.
You're exactly right. That's the concern, I think, for a lot of drivers who are not willing to come down yet. They don't want to be trapped. They've seen what happened to others earlier when the caution came out during the pit cycle, and that can make a driver have a long-lasting effect on their decision. So we'll see who's really the first to flinch from the top five, but right now, everybody holding steady.
Holding steady at this moment as each lap ticks away. Michael Hayes trying to get by McLaughlin. Also going to be seeing Eric Warman after all of his woes. Fresh rubber trying to get by Kevin Thompson. And Thompson stays high, avoids that outside wall, and looking at some of the drivers still waiting to hit pit road. It's our top 9 that still need to make pit stop. Those that are on the lead lap, those that have yet to pit that are a lap down. Trevor McLaughlin, as well as looks like just entering pit road, getting service done, is Kevin Powell. As Daniel Wilkerson, every time he sees a lead lap driver, just ducks to the apron immediately as Kevin Thompson now makes his sign to pit road.
Thompson here, the first to flinch from the front 5. And he'll come to pit road.
Kevin Thompson misses pit road.
Oh,
Thompson, too much speed, has to back up to get into the pit entry in the 6th, throwing away all of his time. And that is a huge loss for the 6th machine.
It really is, because he packed up, Sam, and even packed up and went to pit road.
And didn't even decide to continue going. Decided, you know what, that's just going to give it even more time. And come to a complete stop and back up. That is such a risky move to make with oncoming traffic trying to enter pit road. and then have to enter pit road. You're just giving up so much time. As we take a replay look at what happened to Kevin Thompson on his pit entry, just carried a little bit too much speed and just completely misses the entry point.
Oh man, this is going to be a huge mistake from Thompson, and you're going to see, I mean, way off to the right of the pit entry, and he's going to back up. I'm surprised that didn't bring out a yellow flag, and he's going to get right in there. Luckily, he was far enough off the racing line that it's not going to trigger that yellow flag here at Darlington. But man, oh man, Thompson there with a huge mistake.
And also going to be seeing the likes of Jonathan Jennings, Hunter Simpson, Variant, and Fetter Place. They make their pit stop the lap after, as staying out is Christopher Simon. Going to get a lap led for the 27, and the rest of the field settling in, as we're going to be seeing what happened here potentially for Team Martin. I believe a situation might happen to the 2 machine, as he sees, oh boy, hard contact for the 2 as he was bouncing off of that 27 machine.
Bouncing off our leader here, Christopher Simon, and that could have brought out a yellow. So that could have been the second time Tony Martin involved in a yellow right as pit sequences were happening, but somehow we stay green here. And now Simon leading the way, and Jennings here coming out officially 1 lap down. So we'll see here Simon duck off to the left, and now it's going to hand the lead back over to Jennings when he comes back around.
Man, that could have been the most awkward timing of a caution if Simon had been ahead of everyone when that yellow flag possibly could have came out, but doesn't it? Oh no! It's Chris Leftwich doing a burnout off the exit of turn 4, smashes into the inside. Bill Gentry also, what is happening on track? It's pandemonium out there.
Is the mist coming? I don't know what is going on right now. This is, like you said, pandemonium. The 4 must have got loose off of turn 4 there. Chris Leftwich was having actually, the both of them got into it on the entry of 3 and 4. And man, oh man, we'll get to see here on the replay. I think this is wild, Sam. You'll see here is the 8 of Leftwich coming up to the back bumper of this 4 machine, and I think it's going to happen right here. 4 bounces off the wall, the 8 gets into him. That's going to shoot the 8 down the track, and he's going to spin out, and the 4 is going to lose it coming off the exit of 4 from those hot tires possibly, and that's going to shoot him down the track.
It's just bizarre moment after bizarre moment. And then you saw right before we went to the replay the fact that the 4 Bill Gentry almost got his revenge on Eric Warman and gasses it up, loses the rear end, and smashes the wall. Bill Gentry, and now he'll have to go into pit road, and bizarre moment after bizarre moment, and Chris Leftwich is now out of this race after that contact. And we look at other drivers that are out on track. Andrew St. Cour, he made his pit stop earlier. He is now up to 4th place for the 12 machine, but he might need a caution to equal up the kind of the way that these tires have been, because this 12 is going to fall back quickly.
I think the big winner in all of this, Michael Hayes, yeah, he's got 2 lap older tires than a lot of the guys around him, but man, he's built a lot of time to the likes of Fetter Place, and that was who he was really, I think, racing for that 3rd position, so to say. And we could see Hayes stretching out a few more points, while Thompson, with that mistake, he's sitting back in 7th at the moment.
And Hunter Simpson had to take a slower pit stop because he was behind lap traffic that kind of was taking a longer time, taking a little bit more of a passive pit entry, kind of hurt the 5's timing. So Hunter Simpson was not able to keep pace with Jonathan Jennings, and those small little inklings of a half a second in pit road just becomes so much bigger when you get back out on track, and it hurts the 5, the 20 falling back to 5th. It's just odd spots all around, and this is exactly what Michael Hayes needed. Same for Andrew St. Cour to be making the gap for the points and for the championship even closer as this race is about to conclude. We are closing in on 20 laps to go, 22 currently. And Zach, this has been a wild one, but the one consistent we know is Jonathan Jennings looks pretty confident and comfortable up front.
That he does. Jennings is doing Jennings things, man. When he gets out front, it's hard to deny this guy the victory, and he's looking to get back to victory where he hasn't been into a long time. You know, we've missed him for a while, but he's also had his ups and downs this season. He hasn't had a flawless season when he's been here, and right now, showing that Darlington, like past previous history has shown, he's really good at this track.
Jonathan Jennings has had 10 starts into tonight, and he's won 3 races. He's tied with Kevin Thompson with 3 wins, and the other closest driver with 2 is Michael Hayes and Adam Gardner. But Jonathan Jennings trying to become the most winning driver of the season with a win here tonight with 20 to go. But like I said earlier, Zach, the Doghouse Racing League has been having an odd season of overtime has been used a lot. We have gone to overtime over half the season. I wouldn't be surprised if we go again here tonight with these drivers late in the race. Someone might make a late move, late contact. They're running for position, and some of these position fights. We got a position fight for 11th place between Mike Leftwich and Gary Kloon, as well between Andy Cork and Trevor McLaughlin.
So many great little battles heading out the end of this race. And right now with Hayes running in the 2nd position, Simpson still in 3rd. We'll see how well Simpson's able to get around Hayes, who, does have a little bit less tire advantage than or tire disadvantage than he wants. But I think Hayes here again has done such an excellent job. He's still got about almost 4 seconds back to better place. So at the end of the day, if Hayes can pull off a 3rd and Thompson doesn't get back to where he was, it could be still a good little game to where 2 races to go. You keep gaining at that margin, it could come down to the very last race.
Entering pit road is going to be Nicholas Atwood as we take a look at what happened to the 19 as he had his issue off the exit of the corner, getting into the inside wall, and on the back stretch once again. I mean, some drivers are able to save it and keep it off the inside wall, others are not. And that hard contact required damage for the 19, and with that hit and the way that we're seeing other drivers running, this could be the end of Atwood having a chance to run for a championship. As he came into tonight, still close in a battle. He was one of the last drivers that really had a chance in 5th place in points, was Atwood. And tonight does not help his chances for our final 2 races moving forward. As seeing Jonathan Jennings trying to get lap by lap traffic. And once again, scooting on by, that's going to be Michael Skimmy in the 3 that our leader blasts by.
Great pass there for that 91, who's really looking for nothing more than just green flag racing to this race. He does not want to see any type of yellow flag being displayed, because that would definitely put a definite, a damper on his spirit, because right now this looks to be clearly in his hands with 15 laps to go. But still lots of opportunity left on the track. And one person that I've been kind of watching and seeing the times, St. Cyr is doing a great job on these older tires in this 12 machine. He is really holding on well in 5th, and only a couple tenths slower than a lot of these guys who have much fresher tires.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a perfect job at salvaging what he had earlier, and the fact that he had to make the earlier pit stop and use those tires to gain all the time back that he had lost previously. It has worked out for St. Cyr to be in a position to even gain on his teammate of Kevin Thompson. What looked to be kind of a throwaway race with the way that the time of the yellows lined up, the 12 has recovered perfectly with how this race has gone. 14 laps to go, though. Certainly still plenty of time for mistakes to be thrown. We've already complicated or cursed a couple of drivers. Don't want to do that too many times here for the field. But Zach, I think the biggest thing here tonight, we got that one caution. It really put a lot of drivers a lap down, but we have only 8 drivers on the lead lap currently, even with all those pit cycle fiascos. 13 laps to go. I don't know if we're going to get another driver to go a lap down, but this is pretty impressive by the 91 to only have 8 drivers on the lead lap.
That it really is. It shows you the pace at which they're running, and also the great calls on strategy just to stretch that a little bit farther. A lot of these guys, got caught out by a few things, but also just this long green run we've gotten here has really caught a few cars out with their balance is really slipping away from them. As here we see now the 93 Kevin Powell, he's gotten past Gary Kloon. Kevin Powell's definitely, I think, a driver is going to say, man, what could have been tonight with his pace he was showing early after those issues, now fought back up to 12th.
Yeah, fell all the way down to 20th position, able to claw back to 12th. That we believe to have a system error that caused him to give up all those positions and lock down his vehicle on the apron for a quick second. And The 93 machine up to 12th place, trying to pull away as Gary Clune not really having any way to keep up with the 93 machine and under pressure from lap car 4 of Bill Gentry. As Jonathan Jennings, 10 laps to go for himself, and battle for second has been swapped to Michael Hayes as Andy Cork gets into the outside wall. The 41 has a big scare, same for the 9 of Steven Bonomo, and it's just every lap I feel like there's at least 2 to 3 drivers that slam the wall, and it's always that risk of an issue showing up.
That it is. I mean, all it takes is one good hit, and you could have a meatball flag popping up for required damage for a broken toe link, or you bounce into somebody that's below you or around you. It just happens so quickly at Darlington that you can see a yellow flag in a moment's notice. As right now, Jennings definitely the one that doesn't want to see that, with 9 laps coming to 8 to go next time by. This 91 in clear selling position right now, but definitely wanting to hold on. Is position that I'm watching right now is for that 3rd spot is Hayes. Starting to show a little bit of struggles here with Fetter Place, about a half a second quicker and only about a second back.
Yeah, we have 2 battles that might be building up here. The battle for 3rd, like you said, Michael Hayes, Brandon Fetter Place, that's closing in. And then behind them for 6th position, Jamie Horn and Kevin Thompson. I think they're about to be having a swappage of position here as you see this battle for 6th place on screen. Jamie Horn just, those older tires, I think he's just comfortability has fallen away. Kevin Thompson kind of driving a little bit mad, trying to get these spots back. Maybe not a top 5 finish in the eyes for the 6th machine, but 6th place easily can be grasped here if Thompson can make this pass quickly.
That it could be, and you know, for Thompson, every point matters. He needs to try to get every position he can, and we'll see if he can work over the 98, who surprisingly only has about 2 lap older tires. So Horn did a good job of gaining time, and look at this, Horn's going to let her go with 6 laps to go. So interesting sight to see there for him, as the 6 going to have the freebie pass here up to 6th place, and now going to try to track down his teammate who's about 4 seconds ahead. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, we talk about the fact that some drivers that are racing the track not for competition, and maybe for Jamie Horn, he's okay with giving up that spot and just, you know, instead of fighting for these last 6 laps where you might throw away a decent run, you just let the other car drive on by. You take the position that you know you're going to be settling in with, and you're okay with that spot. As Brandon Fetter Place, though, I don't expect this position to be gifted as easily as what we just saw, but you don't know the speed that this 20 is showing. He might just take this position by not by just given, but by choice of taking it away. 5 laps to go here as Jonathan Jennings crosses the line, but Brandon Fetter Place thought maybe that was going to be the opening for the pass for this position, but not the case. Continues to just settle and wait.
Fetter Place here has the better tires, has the better grip, but will he have the chance to get around him before to go, as Jennings about 2.5 seconds out. His old Mark Dumont 14, huge hit to the wall off of 2 there behind Jennings. That's going to be a huge hit for him, but now side by side for that 3rd position.
3rd position is going to be Michael Hayes, trying to hold on off the outside in this position. So crucial. Every point matters. Brandon Fetter Place trying to hold for a 4th place position and hoping to get a top 3. Michael Hayes on the other side, though, wants this 3rd place position because the points are for a championship, to keep it closer, minimize the gap, and it looks like he'll defend for another position. Jonathan Jennings on the other side, though, continues to hit his marks. The gap's up to 2.5 seconds as he comes out of the exit of turn 4. Still has some lap traffic to get by, but 2 laps to go for Jonathan Jennings.
A little bit sideways for him there, going out of 4 even, as you know, living life on the edge here. 2 to go, as he's just trying to make it around another 1.36 miles before he sees that white flag as the 45 Clune into the wall. The clock goes low below him, but Jennings just focusing on if he can get this white flag.
Jonathan Jennings hits his marks, sees that flag stand, and is happy to be seeing it. Your freaky fast white flag out in the air for Jonathan Jennings. Overtime not necessary as your white flag is handed. This race is official. Jennings going for his 4th win this season. Zach, what a showing by this 91 that we knew. I think if he showed up for every race, would be fighting for this championship.
Oh, no doubt would have been fighting for the championship, but he's going to have to do a part-time season and get some big-time wins for himself here.
but Jonathan Jennings going to enjoy it as he exits turn number 4. Your Darlington 175 goes to Jonathan Jennings, and third place to Brandon Fetterplace, who makes the pass complete off the exit of turn 4. And Michael Hayes will fall to 4th. Also going to be seeing Andrew St. Cyr going to finish in 5th. And Kevin Thompson almost was able to move his way up to 5th position, but will come up shy. But ultimately, all eyes on Jonathan Jennings, who takes the win in his 4th win here at Darlington. 4 out of 5 wins at this track has gone to this 91 machine. Just the pure dominance that he shows at this track. Everyone else still trying to find that pure speed to keep up the competition. Hunter Simpson going to give a little bit of a love tap, congratulational tap for the 91 as he gets to burn it down here this evening. Congratulations to Jonathan Jennings. When we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver right after this. Congratulations to Jonathan Jennings. With one another as side-by-side racing continues on. Christopher Norris has been able to move up 3 spots for himself. Dakota Moniz, another driver in the 5 that's moved up 3 spots. And for Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, this race is so critical because the driver he's runs, Christopher Norris, and all defense incoming contact into the outside wall. Everyone's got to get around. Norris locks it down, but the second pack is rolling in. It looks to be almost contact, and it is. Major one for the second pack. The admins have to throw the yellow, and that will be your first caution of the day.
Oh man, Sam, that was a huge collision. I don't know who caught, hit Norris in that second pack, but it all started up there with Christopher Norris and Ali Fonseca. It looks like coming off of 2, making some contact. I don't know if it was Netco actually. So I think when we go back and look at this, you'll see that as they come off the exit of 2 here, it's just going to be a gap between them. Puts Norris up in the wall, and then from off the wall, here comes the 38 down off of it into the 24, who's going to slam that wall off the right front of his truck, and then Norris is locking it down, sliding across. It looks like that was the 14 Arizari and Tyler Dangler.
Tyler Dangler, who was tied in points for the cutoff line. That major damage is going to be critical for himself. Required damage for Tyler Dangler. And that one incident wreck on lap 17 could be the ends and hopes of Tyler Dangler trying to make the playoffs.
Wow, that is so heartbreaking for Tyler, who's had a season of ups and downs and some bright spots. You see right here for GT.
Already a car length and a half ahead of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora.
Great start there for John Forbes, but I think down the back straightaway, he's going to find out real quick how strong this draft is here as the 2 is going to have a massive head of steam here heading down into 3 and 4. What's he going to do with it? He looks to the inside, but the 11 shuts the door. Now the 15 of Vincent Sora, teammate of Danny Cochran's going to look to the outside of the 2.
Trying to bounce to the outside, not able to do so just yet. Going to have to settle back in line, utilize the draft. Vincent Sora.
And we are back here, folks, at Darlington for the Doghouse Cup Series. And we got another big win here for Jonathan Jennings. So let's talk to our race winner to start off our post-race interviews. It's the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. Hey, Jonathan, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, good to have you back out there on track, buddy, man. What a dominant performance from you. Qualified second and got to that lead, and from there, it looked like you were setting sail.
I don't know. Hunter gave me a run for my money there for a minute. But it was a good team effort. I always love coming to Darlington, my home track, so I want to always do good here.
Well, you definitely put on a show for us tonight, Jonathan. Again, congrats on that victory. We know you haven't been here for the full schedule all season, but definitely always a factor when you are here. How do you feel about the final 2 races up ahead of you? Do you feel like you're going to be able to be here for them?
Hopefully. I couldn't make Kansas because my wife was fixing to go out of the country, and it wasn't a good idea to jump on here and race. I'll probably not be here tonight. But yeah, I don't know. North Wilkesboro and Charlotte's always been fun tracks for me. I got to figure out North Wilkesboro a little bit. Came up short last time there, so.
Well, definitely we'll be looking to see how you perform there and hopefully see you at the racetrack out there in North Wilkesboro Before we let you get out of here, Jonathan, anybody want to send a shout out to for your race win here tonight?
Oh yeah, you guys for the broadcast. Daniel and all the admins for putting all this stuff together each and every week. And the series sponsors, Shoney's, Group 6, um, Fanatic, and SSR Designs.
Well, thank you
Which
very
is,
much, Jonathan. Again, congrats on the victory, buddy, and we will catch you hopefully next week at North Wilkesboro.
all right, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was your race winner here tonight, Jonathan Jennings. Another great performance from him. But like he said, he had a tough show, a tough battle with the 5 Hunter Simpson. Let's hear from the 5, who first time this season, going to hear him up here in the booth. Hey, Hunter Simpson, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, great run tonight. Started off in that 10th position and quickly worked your way forward. How was that car feeling out there?
It was feeling really good. During practice, we was pretty stressed out trying to figure out what we can do to improve because this update kind of messed with a lot of stuff. We was really quick before the update, and then that update threw us for the loop. And right as qualifying and the race started, I was like, yeah, we got a pretty good shot at this. So I knew I was pretty far back, and that was gonna hurt me. But I know if I just saved my tires, picked them off one at a time, that I could maybe have a shot at it.
Definitely seemed to save your tires very well that first run and work your way up there. I mean, we saw you start 10th, drive all the way up the second. Did you feel like your chances got better once you got that restart right behind the 91?
Yeah, I definitely felt like I had a better chance of holding that position and maybe even challenging for the lead. But I was just a tick off on the deep runs, just a little bit off, and lap traffic came into play. But John, all of our team, Kevin Powell, he was running really good and had VR issues. I bet you he would have been third at least. Like he was really quick, and that setup was just on fire tonight.
It definitely showed that, Hunter. I tell you what, man, and good to have you out on the track, not having no computer issues for yourself. So good to have you back out there. We got North Wilkesboro and Charlotte in out the season. How you feel about those two upcoming tracks?
Uh, I always love the short tracks. I'm usually pretty decent there. Like at Richmond, I qualified third. Had computer internet issues. Couldn't see how that would have went, but Charlotte's one of my favorite tracks. I feel like I'm always pretty decent there, so I'm excited for it.
Definitely excited for us up here in the booth too, Hunter. Congrats on second tonight. Before we let you get out of here, anybody want to send a shout out to?
I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, all my teammates, all the admins, and the owner of the league, Daniel, for setting this stuff up. Congrats to John on the win. He did a really good job, and we worked together to make sure that we was going to have a battle. It was going to be straight up, good communication, anything for the team, and we was able to get that, so that's good. Once again, all the admins, all the drivers, they've been improving a lot lately, and I'm super proud and happy to be a part of the league, and also you guys for the broadcast. Y'all do a great job, and I have some personal sponsors, if you don't mind. I have SSR Designs. I paint all the cars I run. autismspeaks.org, Smart Donkey Shop, awesome design concepts. Just a lot of people help out, and I'm happy to really get a good finish tonight.
Definitely great to hear that, Hunter. Congrats again, once again, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in these next 2 weeks.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right, everybody. That was your second place finisher of Hunter Simpson. A great run for himself here at an amazing track at Darlington. Talked about how they really had the setup figured out between him and Jonathan Jennings, and it definitely showed there. But now we're going to move to our third place finisher, and that's going to be Brandon Fetterplace. Let's hear from his run here tonight after sitting on the pole. Hey, Brandon and Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Well, I tell you what, you qualified on pole, was looking very strong all night, never really fell outside the top 4. Take us through your night here at Darlington.
Well, I felt really good during practice. I got an idea of what the track was going to do. Pulled out a heck of a lap on qualifying. To be honest with you, I wasn't really expecting it. I knew I was quick, but I didn't think I was that fast. And during the race, I was just trying to manage. And I think early I kind of let Jennings kind of run me a little harder than I wanted to. Instead of just letting him by, I tried to stay out in front of him, and I think I burned up my right front early. And then after that, it was just kind of managing pace, and I felt like maybe if I'd have had a better pit strategy, maybe I could have contended for a second, or I can't even say first because Jennings was lights out quick all night. So
Definitely was a quick 91 man, but also the 20 was quick there too. Take us through your battle there at the end with you and Michael Hayes. That was quite the battle just to grab for that third position.
that was actually really fun. I hope he had as much fun as I did. I enjoy that type of racing, but I let him have it. About five, I think what was a couple laps earlier. We went side by side in 1 and 2, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait, and I let him pass. And I decided to give it another stab. And on the last lap, I'm like, listen, I just got to go, and we just need to see what happens. And I think we touched a little bit in 1 and 2, which I really wasn't trying to do, and we ended up side by side all the way that entire last lap. So I was just digging for everything that car had. Probably the last 15 laps. I mean, the tires were gone. I was just wheeling this car, and I was lucky enough to get around him there at the end.
Definitely was quite the battle. We got to see it. It was fun to watch Brandon there. But again, congrats with your run. We got 2 races to go this season. We got North Wilkesboro and Charlotte. How you feel about those final 2 tracks to close out the season?
Um, I've had pretty good luck at Charlotte. I'm generally pretty good there. North Wilkesboro, that one's kind of hit and miss. As long as you stay out of the accidents and you kind of, you know, don't wreck anybody or don't put yourself in the fence, you generally come away with a decent finish there. So that'll be the goal, is to kind of, not ruin anybody else's championship runs and kind of, end up with a pretty decent finish.
Well, Brandon, I tell you, it's been fun to watch you since you joined the league, man. Before we let you get out of here and go celebrate the third place finish, anybody want to send a shout out to?
Oh yes, obviously, thank you to y'all for the broadcast. I thoroughly enjoy going back and watching. Um, Thanks to the league, thanks to everyone who watched the broadcast, even if you don't even know who I am. Just thanks for watching. It's really cool to go back and see all the comments, and other than that, hey, I'll see y'all next week.
And that was Brandon Federplace, our third place finisher. You have a great night, man.
Thank you too.
And like I said, that was our third place finisher there. Brandon Fairplace, he had quite the run there to get up to that position. And we had a spotlight driver. We had Joe McKnight in the top 10. He was down in our waiting room, and looks like he's decided he was going to call it quits for tonight. So, fortunately, we're not going to talk to our spotlight driver of Joe McKnight in the 10. He, great top 10 finish for him. Was going to see what he has, but maybe we'll have these final 2 races. We'll get to have a chat there with Joe McKnight. But as we've wrapped up our post-race interviews, we can get into our post-race here for the show, as I believe we do have our lead commentator, Sam, back here. Welcome back, Sam. I'll let you lead the way, brother.
Yeah, after interviews, we head to take a look at our unofficial results for tonight's race. We have the great running here for the Darlington 175 presented by Elite Southern Racing. It's Jonathan Jennings grabbing his 4th win this season. Second place goes to Hunter Simpson. Brandon Fetter placed 3rd. 4th, we find Michael Hayes, which is going to help to crack into that gap for the championship. Same for Andrew St. Clair in 5th. Kevin Thompson defends as well as he could in that 6th place position to minimize the amount of points lost heading into these last 2 races. And then Jamie Horn 7th. 8th is Christopher Simon. Michael Skimia going to get 9th, and finishing our top 10 is Joe McKnight. And Zach, I mean, overall, a pretty solid night at Darlington with minimal amount of cautions.
That it was. It was a very solid night of racing for sure. And, normal Darlington, racing, let it come to you and get what you can. As Kevin Powell there finishing 12th, but heard he had VR problems, so that's tough to hear. He definitely on a fast car. And then I even look back to even the 19, Nicholas Atwood, tough break for him to finish 23rd. That kind of takes him out of really that points contention still for that championship. So definitely a tough loss for him, but Darlington, it's known to have its bumps and bruises, and there's definitely a few drivers who took that away from tonight, but we still got a championship on our hands with these final 2.
Yeah, tonight kind of was one of those classic look at the past Doghouse Racing Cup Series races, minimal caution, and Jonathan Jennings up front. But the championship is not over. North Wilkesboro, Charlotte, the last two races of the season. We cannot wait to see what those races are going to bring for us. But this is going to end for this week's of great racing coverage. As for next week, we're going to be having ourselves the coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series, as they are going to be setting their sights into the round of 8. 2 races to figure out who will make the final 4 to run for a championship. And with the big updates to the Truck Series this week, we're going to be seeing our first taste of how that update has maybe changed up these vehicles as they head to Legacy, Texas. Tuesdays, we will not be covering the BRB Cup Series. We are actually looking for anyone that would like to be covered on our Tuesdays. Hit us up on Facebook or on X/Twitter. Wednesdays, it's the WSSR Cup Series, as they are going to be taking a car of the Next Gen Cup car to a track it usually doesn't go to, Long Beach. You do not want to miss that race on Wednesday night. And then we're right back here next Thursday for your North Wilkesboro race, the penultimate race of the season, before we crown a champion in 2 weeks. Zach, any final thoughts before we get ourselves out of here?
Well, great race. Congrats to Jonathan Jennings once again for getting himself another victory. I can't wait for these final 2 races. 2 personally my favorite tracks out there, North Wilkesboro and Charlotte. So I think we're going to see quite a show from both of those tracks. And man, I can't wait to see, who's it going to come down to win this championship. It's all still on the line, and the closer we get to it, the more Kevin Thompson's going to get those nerves kicking in, and the more Michael Hayes and St. Clair are going to put that pressure on. So definitely going to be a fun time. Also, Monday night's going to be a good time with the new trucks update. So we got a good week definitely coming up next week.
2 series starting to close to the end. Do not want to miss on here on Thursday nights for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, or Monday night as we conclude tonight's events. Congratulations to Jonathan Jennings, grabbing his 4th win this season and continuing to grab a win after win, as being he is currently the most winningest driver in this series. Another career win for the 91. But for us here tonight, thank you for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. Cannot wait for more Thursday action. It's going to be next week at North Wilkesboro. But if you cannot wait for more racing coverage, we've got you covered. Monday night, ISRC Truck Series. Head to Legacy, Texas for the first race of the round of 8. You don't want to miss it. That's going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.